කවුරුත් සාදුකාරයක් පවත්වන්න. ධර්ම දේශනාවට ප්‍රථමයෙන් අපි සිද්ධ කරන ගිලන්පස බුද්ධ පූජාව පූජා කිරීමට මත්තෙන් හැමදෙනාම පන්සිල් සමාදන් වෙන්න හඬ නගමින් නමස්කාරය තෙවරක් කියන්න. නමෝ තස්ස භගවතු වරහතු සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතු වරහතු සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස බුද්ධං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි ධම්මං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි සංඝං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි ဒုတိယံ පි බුද්ධං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි ဒုတိယံ පි ධම්මං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි ဒုတိယံ පි සංඝං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි တတိယံ පි බුද්ධං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි တတိယံ පි ධම්මං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි တတိယံ පි සංඝං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි สรณากมนังสัมปุณังปานาติปาตาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิอดินนาดานาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิคาเมสุมิจฉาจาราเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิมุสาวาทาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิสุราเมรยมัจจปมาดัฏฐานาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิอัปปมาเดนะสัมปาเดตසාදුකාරයක් පවත්වන්න. සදහවත් කාරුණික පින්වත්නි, සිඩ්නි නුවර අමාවතුර බෞද්ධ මධ්‍යස්ථානයේ 2021 වසරේදී උතුම් වෙසක් පුරපසළොස්වක පොහොය නිමිති කරගෙන සෙනසුරාදා දිනයන්හිදී සිද්ධ කරන උතුම් පින්කම් මාලාවේ අද 6 වෙනි පින්කමයි සිද්ධ කරන්නට බලාපොරොත්තු වන්නේ. ධර්ම දේශනාවට කලින් ප්‍රථමයෙන් දිනපතා අපි සිද්ධ කරන සවස ගිලන්පස බුද්ධ පූජාව විදිහට සෝදානම් කර මේ තැන්පත් කළා වූ මල් පහන් සෝඳ දුම් ගිලන්පස ආදී සියලු පූජාවන් තථාගත ලෝතුරා භාග්‍යවත් සම්බුදු පියාණන් වහන්සේගේ උතුම් වූ බුදු ගුණයන් සිහිපත් කරමින් මෙනෙහි කරමින් සවස ගිලන්පස බුද්ධ පූජාව හැටියට මේ සියලුම පූජාවන් පූජා කරමි. පූජාම වේවා, පූජාම වේවා, පූජාම වෙත්වා කියන උතුම් කාරුණික හැඟීමෙන් අපි හැමදෙනාම ගාථාවන් සජ්ජහායනා කරමින් බුද්ධ පූජාව තෙරුවන් වන්දනාව පළමුවෙන් සිද්ධ කරමු. සාදු සාදු නමෝ තස්ස භගවතු අරහතු සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Itipiso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho. Vijjācarana sampanno sughato lokavidhu. Anuttaro purisa dhammasarati. Sattha deva manussanang buddho bhagavati. Swakhato bhagavata dhammo sanditthi. Akaliko ehi passiko hopanaiko accattang vedi viññohiti. Supatipanno bhagavato sāvaka. Ujupatipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho. Nyāya patipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho. Sāmīti patipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho. Yadidam cattari purisa yugani addha purisa. Esa bhagavato sāvaka sangho. Ahuneyo pahuneyo dakhi. Anjali karaniyo anuttharang punyakkheta lokasati. Vandami cetiyam sabbhang sabbatani supatithitam. Sharirika dhatu mahabodhi. Buddha rupang sakalang sada. Yassa mule nisinno sabbhari vijayannaka. Atto sabbhanyutang saddha vandetang bodhipada. Ime ete mahabodhi lokanatena pujita. Aham pite namassam bodhi raja namassute. Ghana sarappaditena dipena tamadamsina. Tilokadipang sambuddhang pujayami tamonudhang. Sugandhikaya vadanang ananta gunagan. Sugandhinahang gandhen pujayami tathagatam. Vannagandha gunopetang etang kusuma santating. Pujayami munindhas siripada saroruke. Pujemi buddhang kusumena. Punyena metena tabhami mokkhaṃ. Pubbhaṃ milayati yatai dhamme kāyo tataya vināsa bhāvaṃ. Adivāse tuno bhante kilāna paccayam imam. Anukampaṃ upādāya patiganhātu muddhama. Adhivāse tuno bhante vesajjaṃ parikappitam. Anukampaṃ upādāya patiganhātu muddhama. Kayena vacha citte pamadena maya katam ajjayam kamane bhante puri panya tathagata Kayena vacha citte pamadena maya katam Ajjayam kamane dhamma sandittika akalika Kayena vacha citte pamadena maya katam Ajjayam kamane san supatipanna anuttara imina punya kange Mame bala samagamo sadhan samagamo yavanibbana pathya sadhu sadhu කවුරුත් මේ විදිහට වාක්‍යයන් කියන්න මාගේ ස්වාමී වූ බුදුරජාණන් වහන්සේ කෙලෙසුන් කෙරෙන් දුරු වූසේක සියලු අකුසල ධර්මයන් දුරු කළසේක සියලු කුසල ධර්මයන් උපදවාගත්සේක සිත කය වචනය සංවර කළසේක පිරිසිදු කළසේක සියලු ලෝවැසියන්ගේ ආමිස පූජා ප්‍රතිපත්ති පූජා පිළිගැනීමට සුදුසු වනසේක එසේ අනන්ත වූ අප්‍රමාණ ගුණැත්තා වූ බුදුරජාණන් වහන්සේ උදෙසා සාදර ගෞරවයෙන් මේ සියලු පූජාවෝ පූජා කරමි පූජා වේවා පූජාම වෙත්වා මේ උතුම් පින්කම මෙලව යහපත පිණිසම හේතු වේවා ආසනා වේවා සාදු සදහවත් කාරුණික පින්වත්නි ඕස්ට්‍රේලියාවේ සිඩ්නි නුවර අමාවතුර බෞද්ධ මධ්‍යස්ථානයේ සෑම සෙනසුරාදා දිනකම සිද්ධ කරනු ලබන මේ ධර්ම දේශනා මාලාවේ අද 6 වෙනි ධර්මානුශාසනාව 6 වෙනි පින්කම ඒ සඳහා මුලින්ම මේ පින්කමේ දායකත්වයේ බාරගෙන කටයුතු කරන වෛද්‍ය ගාමිණී ගුණතිලක මහත්මයා මහත්මිය ඇතුළු පවුලේ හැමදෙනාම අද මේ උතුම් වූ දේශනාව සඳහා බොහෝමත්ම ගෞරවයෙන් ඉතාම කරුණාවෙන් සජීවීව දේශනා කරන්නට බොහෝමත් ගෞරවයෙන් අපි ආරාධනා කර සිටිනවා අති ගෞරවනීය පූජනීය ආචාර්ය සෝමාලෝක ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේට මෙතෙන් සිට උන්වහන්සේ විසින් මේ දේශනාව සිද්ධ කරනවා ඇති. Dear devotees, today Dhamma sermon is sponsored by Dr. Gamini Gunatilaka, Malkanti Gunatilaka Mrs. Malakanti Gunatilaka and family, I invited Most Venerable Dr. Somaloka Thero for his invaluable Dhamma sermon, Dhamma talk from now onward. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay. I don't know whether you know, today, this month, is the Vesak month. Vesak month. Starting now. It's a very special day for Buddhist people. Particularly country like Sri Lanka. Thank you. People used to celebrate it. Yeah. Sometime when I think back, wondering or pondering, what did I really miss out for leaving Sri Lanka? The only thought come to me is a Vesak day. Regardless of your ethnic or religious background, even when little kids feel very peaceful in the morning when you get up. You see Buddhist people wearing this beautiful white cloth with the flowers around the temples. It's very beautiful, peaceful feeling. And then when you look around and see all the lanterns all day, it's unbelievable peace that you feel it. So when I left Sri Lanka and living in other countries, I try to get that feeling. It's really hard.
a very comfortable life, but we don't get that inner deep feeling of peacefulness. It's something very sad to see that the world is missing it out there. The reason I reminded this to bring out a very important psychological issue here. If you ask yourself who you are, you may not know this. You are your culture, the conditions. From the birth to death, we have been continuously being conditioned. That's what we are. In the Gatha, Dullabha Kanasampati, that's one of the rarest things. There are 8 types of rare things, and I quote that one. To see that opportunity to be born into a good culture is extremely rare thing. If you look at the world today, I mean, we are very advanced in every way. No? We can explore the outer space. We can even go, and one day we may be able to even inhabit some planet. No? It's all possible. At the same time, when we look at that, we begin to see some different aspects of human life. Can you make a guess? From the biological point of view, human organisms are very sophisticated, very complicated, born with tremendous capacity for wholesome or unwholesome. Is that correct? But if you look at the world as it is today, you would wonder, when the Buddha said this first part of the Gatha, Dullabhancha Manusattam. He says it's very rare, very difficult to be born as a human being. Sometimes wonder that. It may be true to be born as a human being. It's a very rare thing. But being born into a particular realm of existence is one thing. The other aspect of the most important part is the question, do we really live to that idea? Two different things. We can born into heaven, but that's not enough. We had to be able to live like a divine being. So if you are not living up to that particular realm of so what you expect to be in that particular realm existence, you're not suitable for it. You become a problem to yourself because you feel you're hungry and uncomfortable. You're in a foreign place. And it, at the same time, it has negative impact on where you are too. Sometimes when you read some the problem in the heavenly world, like a Sura Asura world, sometimes could be that. You're born into heaven, but having a lot of uncomfortable, they're not living to that ideal of being divine being. Because from the Buddhist point of view, if you want to be born into that type of realms, you should have done a good karma. So here you're born into the realms, but you're not living. But from the Buddhist point of view, the human existence is far more important than the divine realms. Because we know, without being born as a human being, we can't be Buddhas. If you believe to be a Buddha is the highest ideal of human development, we can see how important it is to be born as a human being. But then I wonder, do we really live to that ideal? When you really look into, if you are not biased, you feel a little bit shame to be a human. Look at in your culture, particularly in Sri Lanka, you bow to a bodhi tree or tree. When they want to cut a tree, they go and ask forgiveness. Yeah? And then people laugh at it. It's a very primitive thing. But you know, today we bowed, salute to the nuclear missile. Well, we consider it as a great thing. What if that nuclear missile try to do? Designed for kill our own human being. Can any living being could go below that? Even the thought of killing your own species is a very embarrassing. And we pride it. We saluting it, parading it. You have to ask that. What does that really mean? Can any living being, if they are really happy, can have such a thought? So why do you have such a thought? So where's this appreciation of human life? Just think about it. You know, we just said that the reason why people, someone, one human being, resolve to become a Buddha. You know that, no? He said they see what the Buddhist term is called Devadutas, 4 Devadutas. They appear to us. Devaduta means messengers from heaven to remind us something very important. Birth, no? Illness, age, and die. And when some people see that or experience it, they think very deeply about it. But we all experience it. Isn't it? But we somehow or other keep on just going as if it is not happening. Correct? There's a beautiful story in Buddhist literature. There's this young gentleman, because of his bad karma, must have done, went to hell. And then the Yama, or the king of that world, asked this young man, he said, "You are a very intelligent young fellow. I sent you messengers for you to avoid you coming to this place. And did you see them? He said, "What was that?" He said, "Have you ever witnessed that people are being born?" He said, "Oh, of course, and be very happy." But the young asked, "Do you understand what that birth trying to tell you?" He said, "Oh, no, it's a very beautiful occasion. We all rejoice. But have you seen that little creature crying?" He said, oh, I didn't think about too much about that. He said, young man, you missed that. He said, then I sent again another messenger. That messenger is people get sick. He said, of course, I was sick. Then we try to deal with it. We have a very sophisticated medical system. So we invest our money, energy, so that they can come up with a solution. And the Dhamma asked, have they come up with any solution? No, we are working. We're still working very hard. He said, so you didn't get the message correctly. And the third one, of course, getting old. And he said, yes, I see everybody getting old. But then again, we try to keep us fit. We do our gyms. We try to go for the healthy food, diet, everything. We do that. The Dhamma asked, will it work? No, not much, but one day somebody will find out the right thing. It's a matter of time. And Dhamma said, you missed that opportunity. But it's okay. And the death, yes, we died, but again, they had to go along with some other life. We can't pay much attention. But then he said, the reason I sent this messenger to you, not to be disappointed with life, but to appreciate it, and that you had to do something. We had to prepare this day. That means you had to do a lot of good karma, but you haven't done much. So unfortunately, all I can do is to show you the room. And it's kind of. So this happened to us. You all see today, look at, we're living in a very unpredictable, uncertain world. And if anything, things getting, unfortunately, worse. No? But we still don't know. There's one of that Gata that said, if you want to resolve a particular problem, you need to learn to look at that problem in the right way. Otherwise, you can mischarge someone. So Buddha asked, as a Buddhist, we had to ask, are we looking at our situation in the right way? It is very doubtful. Even the Buddhist community, I don't find anybody sit and think what the Buddhist response to be. But then there are some people, they see this predicament of human life. Yes, wow, people are born, getting sick, old, and dying. Nobody knows how the proper way out of it. But some of those people, one and two, think there must be a solution to this. We just can't keep on going on and on, just trying to pretend when there's no such a problem, or somebody may find other solution. Not that. We have taken it more personally. And one of those people took it very personally. And he would call it a bodhisattva. Understand? So he take very seriously this issue, because he can see within himself. And he look around and he see the same thing, that I need to find out the solution. If there's a problem, there must be a real solution. So he plunged into samsara, this path of what we call bodhisattva path. And he go through all sorts of difficulties, as you know, Jataki's story. The most beautiful thing about him is Bodhisattva actually really don't know whether he would ever find the solution. How he is going to find out, or how long it might take for the solution, none of things are guaranteed. But he had this strong adhitthana. He believed one thing. There is a problem, therefore there must be a solution. So until he finds that solution, he go forward, never give up. But we see the same thing. Why don't we get that message? Why we are waiting here, someone else to find the solution for us? We're always waiting somebody else will be that person. But in the Bodhisattva's case, he was not somebody else. He was just like anybody. He like you and me. There's some paradox there. Because at that time, he was not a Bodhisattva. He just like any ordinary human being. It was that his adhitthana that made him Bodhisattva, unique. But before that, he like anybody else. Why don't we get that message? It's like a scientific world. And look at somebody, he just saw the apple drop. And he's, wow, he saw something very unique. I'm talking about Isaac Newton. He see the apple drop, he saw something that we don't see. How many of us say, we see all the time things are dropping, no? But will we see what the Newton saw? It's funny, isn't it? Somebody told me in Sri Lanka, some people have been hit by coconut, so it's very. But it never occurred to them. There's something very unique happening here. We have to ask, why is that? What did they see? Yes, they must have seen something in that particular incident that we don't see it. We miss out. That's what they will do the tell. They are not just happening. For us, just happening. But if you observe those happening or incident, there's something very subtle. Laws of nature is operating. And when the Bodhisattva observed those things, why this is going round and round, he came to solution. He said the reason is, including themselves, he said, we all going round and round this samsara problem because we were unaware of Four Noble Truths. It's interesting. The problem is this whole thing, we say, the solution is the Four Noble Truths. We said, until we see this Four Noble Truths, we are subject to them. So how he got that message? By observing what is operating in just four real phenomena. This is the relation there. So that was the problem. So he saw if there's a problem, a solution has to be in there. He saw that what is operating in these four incidents is a lack of Four Noble Truths. We don't see that connection. The same thing when the Newton or Einstein saw the relativity, they saw something that we don't see. And they come up and finally they make a beautiful mathematical formula. So what helped this Einstein or Newton to create that mathematical formula was what he saw. Can you see that? It's not the other way around. We create a theoretical formulation after seeing something. It's observation. It's the first step in science. All the theorizing and experimentation come later to prove what they saw. You follow what I'm trying to say? All those theories and everything is what they saw. But to explain to other people, they had to create a formula. But Newton only realized he didn't know any formula. Einstein saw the relativity. Otherwise, how could you create a formula? Could you see that? So what he saw, they tried to create and to put into a scientific model. And that's what the Buddha did. And he formulated the Four Noble Truths. His Four Noble Truths, or not knowing the Four Noble Truths, is what keeps us going round and round. Think about this, okay? It's very difficult for you to understand when I'm talking, this connection. But if you relate to that, how the scientific world, you could see. Because normally we think the scientists are just come up with the very sophisticated theories. That's what we see, because that's what they're telling us. But they created those formula to help us to see what they saw. But if we can go into his way of frame of thinking, we don't need those formulas. We will see exactly what they saw. So this was the task I think Buddha had once he became enlightened. And he was sitting and wondering, see this Dhamma that I realized is a very too profound. You see? But human being, being what they are, not that they are not capable of understanding, they are not ready. You may not see this point, Buddha said that. Because when we observe these four things, we also know instinctively there's something not right. Understand? It hitting us. That's what the David did right hand. It hit us. Message, the problem, even solution. That's what the Yama telling. If you observe those four things happening, you will not be in hell today. You will take a very different course of action. Can you see what he's trying to say? Because you miss out. But it happened to you. You saw it happening. But you could not really see what you should have done. So you miss your chance. So we see that. But we somehow rather play with that. That's what Buddha said. We try to outsmart the reality. We think and somehow rather we can bend the nature to suit us. Isn't it what we are doing? If you honestly ask, we can see this is what we are playing with the nature. But the nature hitting us continuously, trying to open our eyes. Stop the way you're going. Sit and think. Look around. And you know what is happening here, why it is happening. But there's no mystery. Understand? In the nature, there's no mystery. Einstein did not create the relativity. He did. He just saw it there. So Buddha said the same thing. The Dhamma that I discovered, it's like a sun and moon. It's there. All I did was I saw it. So I'm just presenting to you. Now you can see he's in a similar situation like a scientist. Yes, I saw this beautiful, simple fact, but how am I going to explain to these people? They're not going to see it, but I had to create a model. I had to find out a way of explaining to these people that if we had the ability, capacity to see, to be like Einstein or Newton, we don't need those things, but they are only human beings. They're just not really unique. They have the same brain. You could see it. So the task of a Buddha is to how to help us see what he saw. So he created this so-called Dhamma, teaching. And now, unfortunately, we got caught up in that teaching now. It's like in Zen Buddhism, we told like when somebody pointed at the moon with the finger, we keep on looking at the finger, not the moon. So we keep on reading, translating sutras. Some people are very worried about not knowing the right word. But then if you look back to Buddha's own lifetime, what was the language he used? Did he invent a sophisticated mathematical language to explain what he discovered? He just used a common language. Everybody understood what he was talking. And how so simple, even a 7-year-old girl, Visakha could understand. So where was the language problem here? Was it the language that blocking us understanding what the Buddha was talking? That's what we think. That's why we read the sutta, translate, commentary, sub-commentary, going on and on and on. But the original Buddha, he didn't have any more. He just saw something very simple. Of course, he had to go through very heavy practice to see, but what he saw is very simple. That's why he said all those esoteric practices he did didn't lead you to it. When he dropped all those things, he just started to observe. And that is how we saw the reality. All those my previous study, understanding, if anything, were blocking me. So when I dropped those things, when I just look at and have a good direct observation of what is happening within me, he saw the whole thing. And that's why he formulated this Four Noble Truths right within. Not only then, those 4 problems. Because then where the problem, solution was already with it. So if you can really observe the problem, you should be able to see it. So what we human beings doing, we don't want to look at the problem. But we pretend. Going round and round. So to say this, as if we eagerly looking for a proper understanding, proper solution, and all such. No. Everything we do to avoid it. That's what we're doing. It's escape route. And that's why I said when you look at the history of Buddhism, little kids, so 7 years old, uneducated. One of our greatest Zen master, Huining, could not read or write. When he just listened to one of the old Chinese lady reciting the Vinalkriti Nirdesa Sutra, one of the hardest Sanskrit sutra, By listening, this young boy who illiterate says, oh, I want to learn that. And see, they see kick him out, go to some monks, and he went there, he struggled, he couldn't read or write. But he understood what the sutra meant. How did he do that? Illiterate. But we know that in this world, people have this, we call it a gift. I say, what a gift. Because we are, from the Buddhist point of view, they say, Dulla Panchamanasakam, we all have that. That's why we're here. We go through all the vicissitudes of life, difficult form of life, but we're born as a human being for that. We're ready. But do you really see that? That's why when we compare, we look back, I don't think we really appreciate life. In fact, we are really unhappy with it. Because when we are really happy, how could the happy person even dream of harming someone? Even that negative thought to come to your mind, you have to be very unhappy creature. Anger, fear, perhaps, frustration, those negative things operate. And that's why we want to find out how to destroy others. And that's our biggest investment. So, even so-called scientific world. Even when it comes to entertainment, look at we sit and watch two human beings, grown-up human beings, beating each other, bleeding, and we enjoying it. You're giving them the prize. How could we do that? This is civilized rule. And this is our way of being. But do we ever sit and ask, what are we doing? The Buddhists ask, what do you do it? Because one of the Kshanika thing we were talking, 18, to be born into a Buddhist environment. It's a very good thing. But yes, we are born Buddhists, but do you? Or are we different from any other human being? And this is where you get what this Buddhism is all about, by observing the way we are. Not by reading sutras, you're never going to understand this. I'm sorry to say this. Because that is not the Buddhism started with not reading the Buddhist sutra, observing life. You know what I said earlier? It's like a science. First we observe, then we theorize things, write about, talk about. Like doing the talking about, we can't go back to the root of that. So if you want to understand Buddhism, you need to learn to observe this, and that's what Buddha as he did. That's what one of the reasons when you read the sutra, he always discouraged people asking this so-called sophisticated question. Not because he didn't answer, he said these people are not genuine. It's just some maybe curiosity, like intellectual curiosity, just want to argue with people, to show other people how much I know better than you. They have no genuine interest in knowing. But when he found someone who had a genuine interest, he answered the same question that he refused to answer somebody else. He saw the difference in these two people. He didn't want to waste his time just entertaining somebody's intellectual curiosity to show how great he was. But when somebody come up with the same question with a genuine heart, he would sit and with compassion, he would go with it, explain to them. He said, it is simple. But then we had to ask this. Are we genuinely interested? in knowing who we are. Are we genuinely interested in living to the ideal of a human being? You have to answer that question. But I doubt, we even think this question very important. Like that's what Rihanna, this story said. It happened, but we don't think those. It happened, of course, we know that because we are too busy with more important things. We don't have the time to sit and ask why people are born, why they're getting sick, why we're getting old. Who want to sit and think this question? We have more important things. Isn't it? That's how we live. The more these phenomena hit us, we become more, we have to hurry up to finish our duties, our responsibility. You see, there's something wrong in our human thinking. Like a lot of people these days send me the email telling Steve Jobs' last letter, telling that, how successful he was and how he became so successful. And now he's sitting on the dead bed and his money, nothing help him. And telling that you should try to get the best of your life. But do we really? You might think, oh, Steve, why did we see this message before? That's how, it's not really disparaging him. This phenomena doesn't seem to hit us. It hit us, but we are not looking at it directly. Because it is hitting us. These four problems are really hitting. That is why we're doing these things. That's what samsara means. We are doing those things to avoid that. So to face to it is too frightening to begin with. We know that. To sit and ask him, we are getting old. It's not easy. Possibility of getting sick. Now, current situation, you can't imagine when it's going to finish. And we say, look at what is happening in India and how they're killing people. But does it really hit us? Of course, we feel sad. We just feel that it could really happen to us. Somehow or other we are numb. We see those things and we just make it personal. And personal not in the sense sitting and being frightened and being sad, and it's not that. Making personal mean to see what I can do in this situation. That's what it is. But somehow or other, when you talk about this, we feel like a negative. That's what one of the accusation or comment on Buddhism, early Buddhism, called Buddha was pessimistic. Because life is suffering. But what he was trying to tell us is life is suffering. The way we live, our life is suffering. But in reality, life is a beautiful thing. Otherwise, what the point of talking about problems, there are no solution. Yet, unfortunately, the way we live seems to camouflage or hide who we really are. And that's a micchaditthika. We don't seem to have a good paradigm to look at the reality. Even though we are born into a Buddhist culture, we are conditioned by Buddhist philosophy, it is quite doubtful whether we look at the reality from that point of view. But we have a particular paradigm. That's how we look at the world. And that paradigm, they call Lokatva, very materialistic. The reason the materialistic means that's all we see, isn't it? When you look at all we see material things, we look at this body, everywhere we look at, nothing but just physical thing. We can't blame ourselves then. So from that simple observation, we make a very huge philosophical conceptual system called everything is physical. In that case, it is quite natural to live the way we're living. Yes, you're born, people get sick, they die. So what we need to do, meanwhile, try to get the best of it. That the best also how to satisfy this life from the materialistic. So the model tell what to do. That's what they call Dhamma Vinaya. According to the theoretical conceptual model we have, we form our behavior. Vinaya means behavior. They go together. So by looking at behavior, we can predict, we can understand the person's conceptual system. So if you look at yourself, you can see what is the real conceptual system, ditti, we operate on. Be honest about it. Then you realize it is a very purely materialistic. And Buddha warned us, it's a materialistic way of looking at, very alluring in the beginning, but it's very disruptive. It turned eventually against us. You can see that, when you look in this world, the world is very beautiful, material world. Karma Chandra, there's so much pleasure in that. Senses, no? The problem is our senses are getting weaker and weaker as we get older. Isn't it the truth? But the possibility in the sensual world, enormous. But we can't keep up with it. Like even if you're watching some beautiful movie, how long you can keep watching? Your senses get, your mind loves to see it. And the senses get time, you can have to write down, you see? How quickly we have senses, because things are not entertaining us, and then senses can't handle it. So this is what happened. So Buddha saw this. Our conceptual system is actually avoiding it also. So when they see the reality, because he said everything is physical. Therefore, we have to look a solution from a very physicalistic way. Any other possibility won't enter into it. But Thomas Kuhn, who's the very great historian of science, he created a word called very beautiful, called paradigm clash. He said that when you are operating on a particular model of thinking, scientific or worldly, any evidence or that come against that model, we try to first reject it. It's like a homostatism, same thing. We try to reject it. If we can't reject, eventually we try to incorporate it. But if we can't incorporate, create a clash. And this is what the Buddha talked in Miccha Ditta Samadhi, the clash there. You see, with our conceptual model we are working, would not allow us to see the form of the truth there. We see the problem, and we look for solution incompatible with that model of thinking. And that's when in the Buddhist paradigm, first we had to change the ditti, Dhamma ditti. We had to adopt that. conceptual system. We had to learn to look at the world from that point of view. Until that, if you don't look at that, you don't see this. So because what you're going to see determined by the model paradigm you are using. But unfortunately, even though we are born into Buddhist culture, we don't have that conceptual system ingrained as much as need to be. We are still like everybody else operating with materialistic frame of thinking. So we can't reinforce it. We are not being a co-creator. This is the model we know. So we had to work within that model. And this is the concept of that model. It's a very self-defeating model. The way in the body is this, we can beat it, we can fight with it, we can keep it going. But Buddha said, if you look at the nature, the reality, Buddha says, wherever you look at, is a sankata, construct. Except the Nibbana is asankata, wherever you go, regardless of the duration of our lifespan, whether it's 100 years or 15 years like an animal world, or Deva world, sometimes 20,000, 100,000, whatever, it's a construct. Therefore, not permanent. There's a story in one particular sutra called Araka Sutta, I can't remember exact name. This ascetic, one of the period, he was giving the Dhamma talk to his fellow being, telling him, we had to be vigilant. Life feels short. We had to learn to create more good karma and be prepared for the next life. And Buddha asked, do you know, the lifespan he's talking so short? He said, over like 20,000 years. So even that, he could see how short the life. Even if you born into a million, one little, because whatever is construct is liable to change, dissolution. It's a matter of time, can't defy that law. You can keep something theoretically forever, but it is the law of divisibility cannot be defined. It always subject to change. But however, what will be working doesn't give us that. Even though we don't see the physical world as a construct. No? We're creating, constructing things, but we still believe it's a very solid. Isn't it? We keep on telling anicca, 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 but what we really see, things are very durable. Even when you're 100 years old, still we think, it's okay. You'll be, coming and hair getting a bit of white, but nowadays we can save it. It's become even a fashion now. We can hide even that. The only thing we can fix it up is the physical ones. More we can do it. But Buddha said, no, it doesn't. But then for us to read through it, we had to have a different model. If you don't have a model to look at, how will you look at it? Do you get what I'm trying to say? That's why in this Buddhism, Buddha presented the model. He said we had to learn, even we had to imitate in the beginning, looking at the world from that model. And we give a very good example with the Patanjana and the Savaka, so Seka. The Patanjana, they see life as it is. Okay? And things are solid, blah, blah. Seka also see the same thing. But he realized, even though it appeared to be So we know from the Buddhist teaching, it is not. So even though we have this tendency to go after or driven by that false moral view, we stop there. He said, no, even though it looks like that, it is not. And so he had that model to guide him. But he feels the same way. So he has not become Arya yet. But he used that model to control it. Even though I see there's something very beautiful, he said, yes, it's a construct. You know? That's why that Dhamma asks, did you see when you see another living being that gets old and the hair falling down, the teeth are coming off? Did you see that it was going to happen to you? You know, it didn't occur to me at all. It's true, isn't it? Don't you? That's how we see reality happening all the time. But somehow or other we have this tendency, as I said, because our models, that's what you have to understand. My message is, that's what the following Dhamma means. We have to believe that our behavior is determined by what we believe. Better or worse. Understand? So when something goes, we have to look, what is my operating system here, conceptual system working there. Then you see what the Buddha trying to tell us. Unfortunately, we don't see reality. It's not that reality is hiding us. Our conceptual system won't allow us to see. Do you follow what I'm saying? And that's how perceptual system works too. Our perception always see the way we have been conditioned to see. You know, a lot of people think, you know, when we look at the same thing, different people see differently. No, we see the same thing. But our perceptual system is colored different. We add more to that what we see. It's like one person may be looking at something with the glass with the red color tinted, another blue. So naturally, when you see that one is blue, one is red. The object is the same, but what we make out of that object, how that object is going to affect us, very different. We call cognitive appraisal. Even the immune system is supposed to react to, not to the antigen. How we look at that problem. That conceptual system intervene. Our immune system also waiting, commanded what to do with it. That's how we're born with it. So this is the danger. That's why they call sanya nidhana papancha. Our way we perceive is the beginning of papancha sanya, end of the world is complex. So the perception is here, because we react to the world. We deal with the world as we see what it is. Like a Buddhist, similarly, when you look at the deer, he keeps on running after mirage, because he sees as the water. So if somebody going to tell, oh, it's not water, he's not going to stop. He had to see for himself. If he see what I see is not really water, it's a mirror, then you don't have to tell him, he will stop. So likewise, our perceptual system is the issue here. It always conditioned by that conceptual system. In other words, there's no percept without concept. That's what theory is. Our perception is always conditioned by so many stuff, and one of these conceptions is very important. I hope you get what I'm trying to get here. So that's why in Buddhism, when the Buddha was very discouraged, so to speak, he was not discouraged. He said, I need to come up with a way that these people would see this problem. Not that they don't go through the problem. It's not something I'm going to introduce some problem only that I see. You understand? Or that I'm going to introduce some particular magical formula, how to be free. No, it is there. They say, Vyamatam Vikre Kalebras. Within this fathom-sized body, there's a suffering, cause of suffering. Nibbana and way, all are within. It's not that something I need to introduce. It's not some importing particular different type of set of models. I had to help them to see what is there. So how I'm going to open their eyes if they should be. That was the task. It's not the problem, it's not the solution. Because they are both right within all of us. But how can make us see it? That is the issue. It's the biggest challenge. Even the Buddha, I think, in many ways failed. So when you look at the Buddha's whole lifetime, I'm sure you Buddhists keep, oh, how nice, if Buddha come, I will give up everything. I call that a fat lie. Because we were during the Buddha's time somewhere. And there are some people who boast about, I was with the Buddha. I was his disciple, or disciple's disciple. But why we're still the samsara is a very interesting question. And telling us, who never had the chance to see the Buddha, telling us how to get out of it. So that would be the last person I'm going to believe, his word. But we think, oh, yeah, how nice, He had seen the Buddha. Wow, he must know the solution. And some people say, but he might be upset with me saying this. Get the message to Sahampati Mahaprabhu because he has met so many Buddhas. This is many Buddhas, but the saddest part, he couldn't get any benefit from it. The message of the Buddha, he is still there. And if the Buddhism is correct, I don't know where I will end up with. See why we do this thing. We look within ourselves. Actually, we are really numb by it to this problem. It's happening right within. We can't really accept that. You see? It is too painful, to be honest, to see life is born, getting sick, old and dying. But that's all we know. That's all we see. That's all our model telling show us. There's nothing but physical. And the solution that model gives us, as I say, just make the best of it before too late. Enjoy as much as you can. And that's what the Buddha standard called great scholar called Charuka. He's not joking. He just represents Loka. The word is a very good word. Loka means common people believe. But we believe there's nothing but physical. So what we need to do, by hook or crook, try to enjoy your senses before you get too late. There's nothing else. All this going to heaven and it's all just wishful thinking. Because we've never seen anybody go to heaven or came back. We argue that. It's true. Has anybody does God and come and tell them, I'm being born into the, even Buddha himself told us. He really, it's just somebody's word, isn't it? But Buddha said, if you practice Dhamma, you could see for yourself. But I'm going back to the original word. Let's have a view, okay? Is the word blocking us. unfortunately, though we can't live without a model, that very model is our enemy, in a way, God. So we need to learn how to undo this model. And actually, that is exactly what the Buddha did. After going through all around and all the other teachers, he dropped all those things. He wanted to have, as I said in the beginning, direct look at, without using any model. And that's what he done on the whole tree, going through disentangling, reprogramming, throwing all those previous ideas, condition what he thought he would just want to look at. And then he saw. And that's what he asked us to do the same. He asked the people, Four Noble Truth, Satipatthana, problem, cause of the problem, solution, the way to everything, all we need to do, just sit down, go to empty place, sit with your son. Just directly look within yourself. And then you will see what I saw. And that was Buddha's message. That's really hard, no? Because we are not going to give up our worldview at all. Understand? Unfortunately, even though we're born into Buddhist thing, it's not pure Buddhistic. So confused. Let alone any other conditioning. Understand? So how to disentangle? Disentangle is the issue. And one Devata asked this, Anto Jata Bhai Jataya Jatito Paja Tantango Tamichami Koimam Vijitated. He said, Sile Patitaya Narusapanyo Chittang Panyancha Bhave Athapi Nipiko Bhikkhu Koimam Vijitated. He said, Sila Samadhi Panya. You have to create a healthy moral life as a foundation that includes having the right livelihood, all those necessary things, basic things, you have to feel secure. You're not a burden to yourself or to other society, so that you can get the opportunity, Silang Parivar to Samadhi. And that healthy life becomes your foundation for mental development. And when that becomes sufficient enough, and that becomes a foundation for Panya, we see things as they are. Until we see things as they are, Buddha said there's no way out of it. That was the message. So in the original Ganta, I said, so we're born as a great human being. And so all the necessary requisites there. Beautiful human life. We have beautiful Buddhas, no? And his teaching. All the requirements are there. But unfortunately, I don't know what to say about that. And I'm not psychic, psychologist, but not a psychic. So all I can say, there are a lot of barriers, defenses within ourselves. And we need to face to those defenses. We have to work through them, not hiding or defending them. So defense mechanisms are very important. And they're working against us. They're blocking our seeing reality and the beautiful solution. And I always keep on reminding, this life is very beautiful. It's like beautiful waters is there. But struggling to be awakened. So, fortunately, we had this teaching and tried to get the best of it, particularly this time, Buddha Vesak Day, now to make a resolution, spend some time, and use this the Buddhist background to understand what is happening. That four thing coming to us like what the Buddha told in the sutra, like a four mountain crashing down. And then look into that and make it urgent. Not to be afraid of that. Say this, I need to find out the real solution. And trusting there is a solution and that we do have that ability. Because Buddha demonstrated it. He was like any other human being. He made it. If he could do it, there's no reason why we couldn't do it. It doesn't mean we have to compete with Buddha. Get in that trust. If you do that, I think that's maybe the best way to respect Buddha. Rather than looking at him different way, and try to see the Buddha with him. Okay. Sambe deva sambe sambe sattva chakira sambe ladram pasanti kanchakatu namagala dukkha pattaji dukkha bhaya pattaji bhaya sukha pattaji sukha sambe
Most venerable sir, thank you for your valuable time for us. We wish you healthy, long life, and may Triple Gem bless you. Sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you. Thank you.